What's cracking, guys? 7607 here, throwing at you the weekly One Piece chapter review. Today we're looking at chapter 1012, Itch. So I'm trying to get this video out on time this week. No technical difficulties so far, and I'm going to keep hoping for the best. Let's dive right in without any further ado. We start off with this week's cover page, and we have Kid making a mechanical bird. The caption is the request was Kid gets engrossed making a metallic bird and doesn't realize regular birds are nesting in his hair. And it seems like the kind of thing he would be into, you know. If he was working hard at his craft, some insignificant life forms wouldn't bother him. He's too heavy metal to be bothered by that. Even the bird he makes, I like the design Oda went with. He could have kept it small and simple, but that's the kind of punk rock thing he'd do. Okay. And let's dive into the chapter now. So we start off with the scabbards between the second and third floors, and Izo's finally taking the time to talk to Kiku as a brother, not as a fellow warrior. So while panting himself, he's asking Kiku if she's alright with those wounds, and she says, heh heh heh. Oh my, that laugh was awful. How can you ask a samurai that? This is nothing but an itch. It'll subside when the embers of my life fade. That's something pretty dark to open the chapter with. I mean, of course, pain goes away when you die, but okay, Oda, thanks for throwing that in there. And then Kiku follows it up with, besides, my heart ached much more back when you disappeared. And we see a flashback to child Kiku crying after Izo vanished. This was likely when he joined Odin to sail the seas. I believe that it was about that time. Yeah, when Odin joined Whitebeard's crew, where Izo had been for this entire period of time when he didn't return to Wano. So Izo says, "Hey, if you still have strength to tease me, you must be fine," and then apologizes for leaving without telling Kiku. And then after that, you know, in the excitement of this war, you notice the scabbards running through the burning halls of Onigashima. There's a lot of damage. A lot of the beast pirates are splattered on the ground, covered in rubble. The sounds of the battle are ringing out. The place is looking pretty wrecked, and Kawamatsu asks Izo what he thinks will become of Wano if they succeed in opening the country, and then Izo says, we can discuss the minutiae if we survive till morning. Minutiae. I wonder which translator is responsible for that. Was Oda really going that complicated with the words this week? But yeah, basically the word means the minor or finer details, the smaller things, if you will. And Kawamatsu laughs and says that's a big if, which means you can tell that the scabbards are really into the battle. You know, they've brought their A game. They're really trying, but they don't. They think they can do it, but then they don't think their chances are very high. They just have confidence, to put it simply. So then we cut to Kinemon, who's basically affirms this and says they either achieve victory or die. So they're putting their all into it, and he suggests they split up, so he can go and protect Momonosuke. It's most fitting if Kinemon, Odin's first retainer, is the one who takes care of his son. Makes sense. And then Kiku asks to be allowed to finish Kanjuro, and Kinemon just silently stares back at Kiku when she says this and doesn't immediately give a response, because Kiku's injured. Kanjuro maybe as well, but he doesn't want to put someone in obvious danger, especially because all of their help, you know, the scabbards could be used in other areas of the battlefield where the other scabbards are going anyway, since plenty of people are in need of help in such a large-scale battle, since they're ridiculously outnumbered. So then we see Shishilian and Bariet appear in front of Nekomamushi. And on this chance encounter, Neko stops to talk to them for a moment. Kawamatsu makes his exit, and they all split up. And then Kinemon says, Kiku, come with me. And Kiku says, yes, sir. Because, oh yeah, she's startled by him saying this because this is the first time he actually responds to what she'd asked. And now she knows that, you know, she's going to be allowed to go through with this. By the way, I'm saying she because Kiku prefers to go by she, correct? Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's how it was, going back on how the previous chapters were, from what their upbringing was and whatnot. So Kiku's going along with Kinemon now, and just after they leave, Shishilian tells Nekomamushi what happened with Pedro, because it's at this moment we realize the Straw Hats got to Wano pretty late, and they haven't really had time to talk over a lot of things with some of the minks. Especially, oh wait, no, I'm sorry, I'm mixing this up. Nekomamushi got here very late. He had gone to talk to Marco, I believe. I believe it was Marco. Or was that Inu? I'm pretty sure it was Nekomamushi. I'd like to believe. All I remember is he showed up with a Catling gun after he'd healed his arm a bit. I got that from Tekken 101. Okay, so he learns of Pedro's death from Pedro's greatest rival, Shishilian of the Musketeers, and he explains the situation and how Perospero, Pedro's killer, is now on Wano. And learning this, Nekomamushi puts on a big grin and gets ready and just like lunges into the air and chases after him because he wants to be the one to put him down himself. As Pedro was a member of the Guardians, who are was one of the Guardians of the Forest, I believe. I think Neko was the one in the Whale Forest, but I know he was the leader of the Guardians, and he worked under Nekomamushi, so he was his closest soldier. Shishilian was on Inuarashi's side. Well, the citizens didn't really pick sides, but in terms of who they worked for, yes. Pedro worked closely with Nekomamushi. But, so he's off to get revenge, it seems. Then we turn to the first floor attic where Momo, Shinobu, and Yamato are. It took me so long to remember his name. I was convinced Yamato's name started with K for a moment. Okay, so Yamato tells them to watch out for the Marys, and says that the Beast Pirates, and brings up how the Beast Pirates still assume they're all going to be together. So I love this next panel because Yamato's face and expression look exactly like the kind of thing, Luffy would have on his face when he's making an excuse to go off and fight. We need this energy on the crew. Yamato's the kind of person who could get along with Luffy. Kind of similar to... Okay, I want to say similar to Odin as well, but then Odin was meant to be similar to Luffy, and this is more similar to Luffy, since, Odin in his older age had to act more mature more of the time, so it's not as great a comparison. So Yamato says he's going to go out and serve as bait, and he brings out this small little puppet thing to keep in his clothes as a decoy, and I like how Shinobu and Momonosuke respond to this. Shinobu says Yamato will be fine, Kinemon-sama has made contact with us. And Momo says you're obviously itching for an excuse to fight. And I just like how they're calling Yamato out on this, because it's not as much of a sacrifice as he's playing it out to be. Yamato just wants to join in on the fight. And then running off, he says, "It's in your hands now, Shinobu-san. Momonosuke-kun, how's Luffy doing?" And Momo says nothing's changed. He's losing strength but still eager. However, there are only 2 voices left. Okay, when it says nothing's changed, I don't know if this refers to since the beginning of the fight when he was getting beat around, or since the point when... Okay, wait, no, he says there are only 2 voices left, which means that from what Momo can tell, the way the fight's progressing, Kaido should be winning at least as close to as dominantly as he had been when Big Mom and the rest of the supernovas were present as well, because it seems to be the same intensity of fight. and he specifies that Luffy is losing strength because, you know, Kaido's overpowering him. And I guess this means Momonosuke is really reining in his voice of all things. It's becoming something he's more prominent with. And yeah, with that, Yamato's like, a one-on-one. I have to hurry. Because I guess Yamato's going up to the roof. Yamato and Luffy versus Kaido. Maybe it would help us get Yamato on the crew. I mean, Yamato for Nakama, of course. This could be something very interesting, you know, entertaining, something which could be... We need more manpower going forward. Yamato would be an excellent addition. Okay. So, yeah, after this scene, it tells us, you know, the fight's still going on in the roof. Momo's able to monitor it, and that gives us a hint of where Yamato's going as Yamato makes his exit. Then Momo begins to read through the logbook, and we can tell that these aren't, like, the stories he's reading aren't things Oden told him before. Oden told him the surface level public information kind of stuff, not exactly the kinds of adventures which he went on in the secrets of the pirate crew. And we notice off in the back Oda draws like Shinobu trying not to look but peeking through her fingers to see what was in the logbook, unable to so she can sate her curiosity because she really wants to know what's going on. And then we turn to another funny scene we get this week, and it's Sanji running around, you know, fighting in Diable Jambe, carrying around some large rounded cross over his shoulder. The beast pirates are shouting about how he's worth 330 million, get him! And then they're like, look, he's carrying someone. I'll be honest, I had no idea this was meant to be a person until someone said it out loud. And then after they're talking about how, after one person in the back says, for all we know, it could be Pirate Hunter Zoro in there. Oh, talk about hitting the jackpot. One big name carrying another. So these guys are clearly out of their element. They think they can get Sanji and probably Zoro. Okay, I'd understand why they think they could get Zoro. The man's wrapped up very tightly. But Sanji still looks able to fight. But Sanji's angry and he's saying Zoro's a pain as always. That's what it comes down to. And that's when, like, a panel there at the bottom of the page, I think that's the bottom of that page, I'm not sure, is where we actually get to see the face of the person who's wrapped up and sealed in... Okay, at this point, you can guess their bandages, I guess, but... You aren't sure what's going on until the flashback on the next page. So we see an explosion happen, rubble falling, and then Zeus, Law, and Zoro all appear inside the room in front of Sanji, and he catches them so they don't fall to the ground. And after that, you know, he yells at Zeus saying, why aren't you with Nami-san? And Zeus makes a break for it. And Sanji then yells at Law and Zoro because he doesn't want to be catching guys. I mean, come on. Sanji's a ladies' man. And Law just says his timing's impeccable and leaves Zoro with him and runs off. And this next thing is something which really got to me. He says Zoro probably has 20 to 30 broken bones. That is a lot of broken bones. That fall from like a couple meters up might have been able to kill Zoro if his bones have already been ground to dust like that. I mean, think about how bad it hurts when you have one broken bone, now 30. And with 30 broken bones, he was able to scar Kaido. After saying this, at least it makes sense why Zoro's in that much rapping. Sanji's mad because he's not a doctor and says he doesn't have the time to take care of Zoro, but then Law leaves anyway, which is funny because, you know, Law's the doctor, you'd think he'd treat him, but then he says Big Mom must be rampaging over there, and he runs off in the same direction as Zeus, which is the direction the explosion happened in, which should be where Big Mom is right at the moment. So I suppose he's going to join that fight, especially since Ulti and... well, I'll discuss this at the end of the chapter. Okay. So next we see the scene where he's wrapping him up and connecting him to a splint, and placing him on a splint like Law had instructed him to make sure Zoro's body stays stiff. It looks like he's using the entire infirmary with how many bandages are sprawled across the floor. And he asks who put him in such a sorry state, because he's not someone who gets that injured. Then he says Kaido and Big Mom, and then Sanji's like, yeah, figures, because no one's expected to beat two Yonko. People are barely expected to beat one, even when you gang up on them. And then, Sanji still gives him a fair amount of respect. It's the kind you wouldn't usually think Zoro and Sanji would give to each other. And he says, well, I guess you making it up there is nothing to sneeze at. Not like physically making it to the roof, sorry for that sound, but being in a position to be fighting against multiple Yonko at a time. Okay, and then next, he asks how Luffy's doing, and Zoro says it seems like he figured something out in the last moment and is confident Luffy's going to win. I'll be honest, even with Luffy's power-up, I don't see him just like fighting Kaido one-on-one the rest of the way until the end of the fight and winning convincingly without any more help. Yamato's headed up toward the roof. It's like, from what Yamato said, that's how it seems. And if they fight together, I think that could definitely put them over the edge, especially now that Luffy's gained a lot of ground. But if Luffy doesn't get any other help for the rest of the fight, I don't see this going as well as Zoro believes. But then, it's a shonen manga. The moment someone says this out loud, he's gonna win, he's gonna win. Okay, Sanji says obviously, and then asks Zoro where to put him, dump him, and then Zoro just passes out. So Sanji gets stuck with him. They run into Izo and Kawamatsu, and then, they talk a bit, catch up. Kawamatsu tells Sanji that Kinemon went to look after Momonosuke, so Sanji doesn't have to anymore. Zoro wakes up for 1 second to tell them to go to the live floor and then goes back to sleep. Sanji's mad about this because, he keeps falling back asleep. And it seems like they're heading for the live floor. I believe this is where the Isoni virus was, where Chopper treated them and where he turned many of the Beast pirates against Queen and their captain, and is currently engaged with Queen. So since that's where the doctor is, Zoro could get more help. Not even more, could get actual medical attention and may be able to continue fighting later on. According to the 20 to 30 broken bones metric, he shouldn't be moving for the next few years, but he'll probably fight again before this arc's over. Not even arc, during the battle at Onigashima, he's going to unsheath his swords a few more times. Then we cut back to Big Mom just after having beat Page 1 into the ground last time, and she says, "Was it you? Did you burn Okobore town to the ground?" Oh, my voice is awful today. I had a sore throat early in the morning, and I did not eat the best food for keeping a smooth throat for lunch. On a boxing diet right now, I'm lying. I'm not on a diet for it. But I am going to be in a boxing match next weekend. That's something to look forward to. This is also me saying the next chapter review may be a tad late, and I'm sorry, but let's continue the chapter. I'll talk about that stuff at the end. So the Beast Pirates are surprised and crying out for Page 1 because they didn't think he'd be knocked into the ground like that. And Ulti says unforgivable and then charges at Big Mom. And then the Straw Hats shout, "She's here too!" in fear because they don't want to have to go up against Ulti and Big Mom. And the usual Ulti say, "How dare you do that to Pei, Big Mom!" Okay, all my voices are bad today and it's funny. I'll look back on this fondly. Or embarrassed. Probably the latter. Okay. So Usopp's like, okay, wait, these are both enemies, but they hate each other right now. So he's like, let's have Big Mom take care of her too. And then Nami says, it's suddenly like she's our guardian angel or something. Olin-san, that woman is the real culprit. And Nami says to herself, honestly, I have no idea if that's true. And then Big Mom, okay, I like this sequence of panels, these next 3 panels. Big Mom says, shut your annoying pie hole, Straw Hat. When I'm done with her, you're next. And then Nami and Usopp scream out, eyeballs popping out of their sockets, and then pretending they aren't scared, Nami with the widest-eyed expression and sparkles, heart emojis drawn, a heart drawn above her head and all of that stuff. She turns to Ulti and says, Ulti-chan, we can do this. Let's take down Big Mom together. And Ulti says, whatever, just wait. When I'm through with the crone, you two are dead. And then, Nami and Usopp scream again and shout to Komachio to run as far as he can. So I like this because Oda gave Big Mom a reason which I said I was fine with and liked, like last chapter, because I'm not opposed to her being mad at people for burning down the village which showed her kindness when she was likely going to starve to death. The people who kept her alive. She's a human being. She's bound to feel gratitude. She has 80 children who all love her, and all of the people in her in Tot Land are fine with her as a ruler and respect her, except for when she goes on the hunger pangs and ruins things. But then other than that, it means she's a good person to those who are loyal to her and those who help her out. She's not inherently evil. Of course, if she doesn't know who you are, she has no problems with doing awful things to you, and if she doesn't like who you are, she will try to ruin you and will go out for blood and will try to put you in the ground. But she's not bad without it's not like she's chaotic evil and wants to see the world burn like Blackbeard and, to a lesser extent, Kaido. That's what I'm trying. Yes, she's not like Rox, her former captain. That's what I'm trying to say. So, that's a discussion for last chapter, though, and I did say all of that. But yes, because I was fine with her going against them, it makes me even happier here that Oda doesn't take the easy way out and decide, okay, since Big Mom's fighting against the Beast Pirates now, let's have her work together with the Straw Hats. No, that's not what it is. She's still mad at the Straw Hats and says she will kill them right there in the moment after she's done with the more threatening enemy. And this is without, going to confront Kaido about it or the rest of the crew. It's not like she's saying wait until the end of the war. No, Big Mom has not been removed as a threat. She's just acting on her impulses as usual. I've said a lot, I'm speaking in circles, but the moral is, Big Mom is doing something which is justifiable. She's just beating them into the ground for revenge for people who she'd grown fond of. And then after that, resuming with duty as usual. And then what Ulti says is to be expected. Okay, so then as they try to run away, Ulti shouts out to them because they're trying to escape, and then she springs like a Bellamy all the way to Komachio, bouncing off the walls, crushing them, and off the floor, springing straight toward them, and then they're like, she disappeared, which is meant to be a testament to how quickly she's moving. And then Ulti headbutts Komachio right in the side. I'm only noticing this for the first time now because I'm looking at it on a much larger screen and not on my phone in a physics lesson. Nami catches Otama, jumps into the air, and Usopp's like flung off Komachio. None of them suffered damage from this attack other than, if they took any fall while falling to the ground. But yeah, that's about it. They just jump off Komachio and he takes the damage by himself from the attack. Then they land on the ground in the next panel here on the last double page spread. So they're shouting out for Komachio, and Ulti is upset and says she was getting sick of chasing after him. and says its quickness was a real pain. And I tell you, Komachiyo does not look like he's built to be very quick or run for that long. And then, she really like grinds it in and starts torturing him, kicking Komachiyo. And then Otama cries, tears flowing out of her eyes, mucus from her nose, and she says, "Wah! Please stop. Komachiyo's my best friend." And Ulti smacks Otama across the face. From the way her hand is, it looks like she may have used her claws. And I think that's blood which comes off of her face, like moving above the sound effects which are in the background. Yeah, that's blood splattering across the scene. And she tells Otama to shut it and calls her a whiny urchin. Nami cries out for Tama, and then the next scene we see Big Mom with these eyes ready to smite her. And then Usopp says, "Nami, get Tama, we've got to run," because Nami's holding Tama in her arms, shouting her name, trying to wake her up because Tama took an attack. Okay, of course it wasn't a serious one or she'd have lost her head, but Tama did just take an attack from one of Kaido's Tobiropo. What's the English name? And there are 6 something. The 6 headliners, yes. And then we see Big Mom, looking very intimidating, especially with the way she's drawn, walking toward Ulti saying, "Hey brat, did you just put your mitts on my friend?" And then Ulti says, "What? You did the same thing to my little brother." I like the stutter she has in here. Oda is not trying to pin her as being completely unmoved by the emperor of the seas in front of her. Ulti is indeed frightened, and the stuttering shows that she's scared. And the next panel, we see her being struck by lightning. At first, I thought, this was Big Mom using the Fulgora technique with, what's Zeus's wife's and sis? What's the new Thundercloud homie's name? Not Thundercloud, I think she's actual lightning. Hera, yes. I thought this was an attack from Hera. But then it turns out that it was Nami using probably Thunderbolt tempo. And she shouts out, "How dare you hit Otama?" And she zaps her with lightning. Usopp says, "Nami, we're meant to be trying to escape." And she says, "No way. How can I run from someone that raises a hand against a child?" And Nami looks very menacingly down at Ulti, saying, "I'm going to beat this woman to a pulp." Chapter 1012 end. Okay, so and this was one of the longer chapter reviews. I don't know if it's because there's more content than the last few weeks, or because I'm just talking more. Maybe I'm seeing things I didn't. Maybe I'm making things up as I go and just rambling on more like I am right now. But few things I want to talk about. Do I think Nami can take Ulti? If the stars align very, very well for her. Like, very well. It's not something I think would ordinarily be quite likely. Especially seeing as how, they did fight before. Nami was crying and begging for her life and was ready to die when she said Luffy would be king of the pirates. That was a very emotional moment a couple chapters ago. Will Big Mom just let this slide? I think Big Mom wants to get in a few hits on Ulti, but then going from how this chapter ended, I don't think she's going to, because Oda wants to make this Nami's moment, and he would not give her a scene like this if you were just going to write it off by having having Big Mom bail Nami out of this fight. Law is headed in this direction, which is something we know because he was following after the noise. Kid was heading here before. He still hasn't arrived yet, but he could tell the general direction because, Big Mom's going on a rampage. The loudest place is probably where Big Mom is. So instead of that Ulti and Kid fight I was thinking about before, I think now it's going to turn into Kid and Law, since we finally know where Law is and Ulti's being preoccupied. And her fight with Big Mom has been interrupted by Nami. I really didn't see Nami butting into the fight intentionally, but now we have it. Oda gave her a reason to. Okay, from things earlier in the chapter, I don't think, we need to pay as much special focus to those. it was a good chapter all in all. If I missed anything, be sure to tell me down below in the comments. And as always guys, it's been fun. I said as always guys, too early in this video. Like the video if you like the video, subscribe and hit the notifications bell to be notified about future content. Please, please, please guys, support the Sam Storytime series so that I can keep on writing and making these episodes. Few people enjoy them, but I'll be honest, it's not enough to be worth the time it takes to go into writing the stories and making the videos and editing them and all of that stuff. If more of you watch it, I can put more effort into making them and release them more frequently. Beyond that, stay tuned for next week's chapter review. I didn't see any break warning, right? Yeah, there shouldn't be any break next week. That isn't written here at the end of the chapter. Yeah, that should be it guys. Tell me down below what you thought. I say again, dislike the video if you dislike the video. Criticism helps me grow. And as always guys, for real this time, it's been Samuel607 saying follow me on Twitter, and so I knew I forgot something. Subscribe to my OnlyFans. I am just joking. I should get a new joke to replace this one that's actually funny. Now by that I mean follow me, support me on Patreon so I can get gas money. And as always guys, the last time this time, that's been Samuel607 logging